it has become really important that we also, we are also, taking the lead forward wherever we are in our own respective sectors, in our own respective communities and areas. So one thing is that this OST is being implemented all over Nagaland. We do have the program down in Tobu, the remotest corners in the borders. Tobu, we have in Tonogyo up to Bungro, the borders, and then we have it in Tening of these borders, that. So and then Nangini Moran does it and all. So we have this program covered all over Nagaland, and we do also have a lot of young IDUs and drug users who are into the program already for a long period of time, some of them. And then it is really important that we also see the benefits of people getting into the OST program. And it's also important for us to disseminate the right information on time to the populations, because sometimes often that our misinformation or half information, or maybe this may create more kind of worry and misconceptions amongst even parents to send their children for the Opioid Substitution Therapy program. And then this Opioid substitution is being funded, so it's funded directly by the government of India, so the policy has been adopted by the government also. So, and then we also want to disseminate further about the benefits that the OST is providing to our injecting drug users population in the state. Unfortunately, we are unable to provide services to the oral opiate dependents because of the limitations in which we work. That is, we work for the injecting drug users, so that limits us to provide services beyond the injecting drug users. And we know that despite that, we all know that Nagaland, we also do have a lot of oral drug users population in the state.
So the outcome of what you did in the past has really brought fruits, and that's the reason why we are also part of that fruit. In fact, I was a victim of the first phase in the in the history of drug use in Nagaland, and then now this is the second coming of the this is the second coming of the drug use in Nagaland. In fact, now when we look into the issue, then we all know the most commonly used drug in the state is now called sunflower or sunflower, which is very common, and then you can see it everywhere. In fact, even in the schools and even in the law enforcement, or even in the now everybody has an issue with the drug. So now when we actually look into it, then now the victims are the most age group wise 18 to 50 years, as per study that as per study that was done by AIMS, MSG, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which was published in 2019. In that report, it says 18 to 50 years group are the victims. And even leave aside substance abuse, that is alcohol or cannabis or any form of drugs, but now even opiate users itself, from that study it shows 6.5%. That will come to approximately around 130,000. That was some 3-4 years back. It was done in 2017, and then now it's almost more than 7 years, and then there's an increase in the drug use. And even for that matter, with 6.5 means 1.3 approximately, with the the population that we have 20 lakhs estimated, so it'll come to around 1.3 lakhs. So that's a very huge problem that we are facing. That was some 7 years back, but now even with sex, as a report from sex, we are able to reach out to only 27,450 opiate users. That also only people who inject drugs. Then what about the people who are orally using? That's a big concern again. So now with the sharing of needles, now the current statistic of HIV till July is 9.24 when it comes to HIV. So HIV infection is 9.24. That means it's very huge. And just the day before, like the law enforcement also have destroyed some drugs, which amounted to 44.5 crores. Imagine, that's huge. I mean, 44.5 crore rupees worth drug was destroyed the day before yesterday. And till July to September, some 30.4 crores worth of drug was seized by Nagaland police. So from this we can know that drug use has increased, and even and for that matter, those people who are already on OST is around 9,499. As Dr. Previous speaker has mentioned, 9,499 people are on OST.
Scaling up, 2009, the National AIDS Control Program took over this program on a larger scale. And I remember Dr. Bernice, when we were having one of the program, I don't know whether it was here or somewhere else, I forgot. But still, that time Nagaland was the only state across the whole of India which we can be very proud of, is to say that Nagaland was the only state to have OST centers, at least one or more OST center in all the districts across Nagaland. Across the country, that is a proud moment for all of us. And these are possible only if we all understand the value, the importance, the impact of how OST as a harm reduction services can be a very meaningful approach. And therefore, that scaling up, it took over. And I remember that time we were talking about 31 OST centers. I was just back from one of the programs yesterday. On the 25 and 26, there was a national meeting with women who use drugs. There, some of the participants were still mentioning about the want for OST, the need for OST, the demand for OST is there, but it is not available widely. So I was also just wondering how lucky we are. I feel sorry for them, but I feel happy for us that we are at least having. Now, if we talk about OST today, even in forget about the district levels, because it is for sure there, but even at the level of the community health centers, some in the PHS level also, some in the health and wellness level also, as far as down to that kind of a village level perspective, is something that we're having, and we are all actually privileged because of the scale-up plan by NECO, facilitated by NSEX, in collaboration with all the NGOs as well as the government authority. So that is something that we're all able to do magic as far as this magic, with this magic bullet. Now, Dr. Bernice has again mentioned about the numbers, almost nearing or a little 9,000. Now, the status of OST. We have, and I think we still continue to play a very key role as far as giving our inputs to the national program is concerned. The people from Nagaland, we have very good experience and senior advocate, leaders and program implementers. Our good practices, our best practices are something which other states are learning from us and picking it up. So even as of now, today, while some states, we are not in the comparison mode, but still, while some states may not be doing up to the level of what needs to be done, at least for our state, I can confidently say that the scale-up and the OST program and the larger community also has very well understood. We have not heard a single objection, rather, to not have introduced this kind of an OST program in their village or in their divisions, etc. So that kind of a response, in fact, also is a motivating factor for all of us to be scaling up OST. As of now, we have 32. We say Nagaland, small state ase, na Iman district ase, but having 32 OST center, that means 5 in the NGO setup and the remaining 27. And that is catering to almost around, not almost around, the number is specific here. I got it from your TA division, 9,499 as well. So just think, I'm not able to articulate the best of how I should be articulating, but just think of how these 9,499 people are benefiting. If not for OST, what would have happened to them? It's a question to all. If not for OST, what would have happened to them? Unfortunately, some might have died. Broken families for sure. Some might be in the lockup, jail. Some might have, died of overdose also. So what could have happened if there was no OST for all these 9,499? So I would say that OST has been a very successful program overall. Now I remember one of my conversation with a doctor who is also a doctor of one of the OST center. We used to just have a casual conversation during our tea breaks, over the cup of tea, things like that. What if this OST was introduced in the 80s? Nagaland would not have this much of an overdose. Nagaland would not have this much of an HIV or the hepatitis B, C that we are getting reported as of now. What if it was in the 80s? That was something, a very interesting question. It's never going to happen because 80s is already gone. We were discussing in 2010, 15, etc. But what if? Okay, so what if, in that case, some of my friends who have died of overdose might be alive today also? What if? What if OST was introduced in the 80s? Some of my friends who are living.
See, illicit opiate drugs still cause intoxication, craving, and withdrawal. Buprenorphine, what it will do is that there is no intoxication and there are no withdrawals if taken at the stipulated time, at the right dose. And the key word is the right dose. Again, not just any amount of buprenorphine. Let me make that very clear today. So, this particular person who buys drugs, he will use the drugs, he will recover from the effects, he will experience withdrawal. But then if we introduce OST here, if we introduce buprenorphine here, then it will manage the withdrawal, it will manage the craving, so he's not going to buy the drug again. This is the philosophy of OST, buprenorphine. So there are some common myths. I am sure there are lots of myths, and if you have any questions, any myths, you ask me, I'll try my best to demystify it. Okay, one of the common myths is that OST is just replacing one addiction with another addiction. Let's think about it. OST patients continue to abuse drugs. Let's see. OST is only for people with severe addiction. Maybe, let's see. Then opiate substitution therapy leads to long-term dependence. And then there's another one, opiate substitution therapy is ineffective and it is unsafe. Okay, let's see. Number one, OST is just replacing one addiction with another. Is it so? Here, OST helps in reducing the harms rather than perpetuating addiction. Remember we talked about the 7 harms that we have spoken earlier. That is all because of his constant need for use of that particular drug. Every 6 hours he needs to use. Opiate substitution therapy we give for free. Right now money is not an issue. Alright, then he experiences no craving, no withdrawal throughout the day. So, it is reducing harm now. Like Sir had mentioned earlier, instead of committing the crimes outside, they are not focused, or at least they are not wandering away. Okay, and then this one will be again talking more on it regarding this perpetuating addiction in the coming slides. OST is like any other long-term treatments. For example, any of us are diabetic here? So, We know as a diabetic, you need to continue taking your medications. And you know one thing about diabetes also needs a lot of counseling. And this is one area that we don't cover. We don't have enough manpower to cover. But counseling, if a person is educated about diabetes, right, then he or she can adhere to that medication very well. Just like OST. OST also needs a lot of counseling. It's just not medication. People with blood pressure, high blood pressure, hypertension, they need to continue taking their medication, is it not? Or else you'll experience a stroke. Same thing with OST. Another one, OST, it stabilizes our patients. It allows them to engage in therapy. See, the word is therapy here. And improve their quality of life. And here now in OST, what we do is that we don't force them that you need to improve your life, okay? We empower them. We help them understand that they need to change with self-support. That is why in OST we tell clients to come every day to our center to take the particular medication, and we don't give it to their wives or the children or the parents. Why? Because they are supporting self-efficacy when they come to our centers. This is one thing that people don't talk about. Number 2, patients continue to abuse drugs. I have some few data here. Patients on OST often stop or significantly reduce illicit drug use. Some data are not available from our state because it is, let's say, compared to other countries, it is at its infancy. 15, 18 years, it seems like a long time, but not long enough to do a retrospective study. So from data available from other countries here, United Kingdom, they reported 40% reduction in use of illicit drugs within the first few months of their treatment, and it was conducted by National Treatment Outcome Research Study. In the United States, the National Institute of Drug Abuse reports that 80% reduction in illicit opiate use who adhere to the program. Then there's another study from Australia that says 70% of reduction after 12 months of treatment. Then in France, in a nationwide study, 85% of patients on buprenorphine reported abstaining from illegal opiates after 12 months of treatment. These data are not available in our country because our country, it's due to its population, and number 2, due to its we lack an infrastructure for such data. But I think our SACs also can now produce data in the very near future. Another one is that the OST substitution therapy helps patients regain control of their lives by reducing craving and by withdrawal, controlling their withdrawal. Here, OST is only for people with severe addiction. I think this is not the case, because OST can benefit various individuals with opiate dependency and not just with severe addiction. So when you say about this word dependency, there's a criteria, International Classification of Diseases. We follow that criteria to identify a person who is labeled or termed as dependent, opiate dependent or drug dependent or alcohol dependent. We follow those criteria. And then for a person to get into OST, there are some certain criteria that has been laid down by the National AIDS Control Organization. They have to fulfill such criteria. Okay, so if they fulfill the criteria, it doesn't mean that this guy has been taking for 20 years, so he is eligible for OST. It's not so. Even if he has been using for just a couple of months also, if they fulfill the criteria, they will get in. So that's also one thing. And it's not just for chronic users. In fact, drug addiction is such a disease that chronic users are actually no longer with us today. OST leads to long-term dependence. See, OST can be a long-term or can be a short-term, really depending upon the individual's goals. That's why we are saying we involve the patient in our OST centers for decision making. I don't make the decision for anybody in our centers. The counselors, the nurses, the state program officers, they don't make any. It's up to the client. We let him take control of his lives. We allow him to choose. We allow him to make decisions in his life. Who are we to say that you have to stop by this date and you have to do this by this date. No, it's really upon their treatment goals. I'll tell you one example. A boy was with us for about a year or so. Then after that, he wanted to join a college. So after intensive counseling, we tapered the OST, and then we detoxed him, and then we let him go. It's really up to his wish. Some clients, they come to us, it's not him that who wants to continue. His family also, their input is good. They tell us that, doctor, my husband is doing very well. Okay, he may tell you that he wants to stop, but then we are not so sure whether he will perform well at home. So kindly allow him to continue. We are happy to do that, because right now he's able to bring money and feed his family. He is not partaking in any illicit, harmful practices. He is able to go to his office well. He is not getting into any legal issues. He is loving his wife more now, the one that he has promised before marriage. Now he's able to keep that commitment, right? He's able to maintain good relationships, and he's not suicidal anymore. So that one drug, along with our psychosocial support, is helping them make improvements in life. And just like our education, we focus on attainment of treatment goals and not duration. Some people ask us, 5 years, 3 years, why don't you stop? Even our education, until we achieve our goals, we say, I have studied for 15 years now, let me stop. No, we don't do that. We study, we work hard until we have achieved our goals. And then, to be very frank, I don't think it is easy to achieve all our goals in this lifetime alone. It takes a long while to achieve our dreams and our goals. And for a drug user, just to remain abstinent as a drug user is his goal, is his dream. Which may seem so little to us because we have never used drugs. But for him, that would be the biggest goal in his life. And who are we to say, stop it already, because you have been here for quite a number of years. So this is what our focus is on attainment of treatment goals.
So this says like, say if I'm engaged in, if me and my friend, we are engaged in a drug peddling activity, my friend is a consumer, user, and I'm the one who is dealing. And in the process of investigation, the friend gets apprehended by the police or by the local youth or by any other members here in Nagaland. And if he complies with the investigating agency saying that he'll help in disclosing how he got the drug and who is the supplier, how he got the deals being made, and then I come into the picture and then I get apprehended because of his confession in that sense, or his statements given to the police, then my friend will be given the immunity, and he will be given immunity from prosecution. This is what Section 64 says, power to tender immunity. And I think this is also done so that what we see mostly is, what we see in our society mostly is drug users community, they are being considered as, it's a ruckus to the society, social health, emotional, job perspective, everything comes at a turmoil, you get it? So I think that's how the act comes to kind of curb to curb the social instability that happens. And the next one would be on section continuation, a tender of immunity made to and accepted by the person concerned shall, to the extent to which the immunity extends, render him immune from prosecution from any offences in respect of which the tender was made, if it appears to the state agency that any person to whom immunity has been tendered under this section has not complied with the conditions on which the tender was made, or is willfully concealing anything, or is giving false evidence, the state, as the case may be, record a finding to that effect, and thereupon the immunity shall be deemed to be withdrawn, and such person may be tried for the offence in respect of which the tender of immunity was made, and for any other offences for which it appears to have been guilty in connection with the same matter. So if, in case I agree to testify and then I do not comply with the investigating agency, I give false information, I give false evidence, I do not lead them into the agenda and goal of the investigating agency, then the immunity with which I was granted, it will be forfeited by the state government or by the investigating agency, and then I will be tried as per the provision that has been laid down under section 27 that we have discussed about. It could be for consumption or it could be for illicit trafficking, will come under again different section, but immunity whichever has been granted, if I fail to comply with it, then I will be I will be prosecuted under the relevant laws. So that is what section 64 talks about. Now to go to section 64A, that will be immunity from prosecution to addicts volunteering for treatment. I think this particular section is very important for us all present here today, because it's not just in the medical field that gives it's not just in the medical field, but also the legal provision that gives an umbrella of safeguarding for immunity to drug users community when they volunteer for treatment. So it clearly states that any addict who is charged with an offense punishable under section 27 or with offenses involving small quantity of narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances who voluntarily seeks to undergo medical treatment for de-addiction from a hospital or an institution maintained or recognized by the government or a local authority and undergoes such treatment shall not, it uses the word shall, so in legal terms shall is obligatory and a binding factor. It's not a maybe, it's not a confusion, or it's not an unsure thing. So it uses the word shall, so it's in assurance of such treatment shall not be liable to prosecution under section 27 or under any other section for offenses involving small quantity of narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances. So see, if we are being apprehended, and the section is very clear in plain reading, it clearly says that if I volunteer to go for treatment in de-addiction, in one of the de-addiction centers, then I will not be prosecuted as per the provisions of law. This is very clear in section 64A. So coming back to this, I don't know, it's just a thought that has occurred to me while deliberating on this particular section. There was this one time when I was talking to one of the accused. He was also he's an addict. He's currently in judicial custody as well. That is in jail. And there are times when they are being brought to court, and to have the overall inspection. And that's the time when we get to interact with the accused person or with the clients. And this particular instance, I asked him, okay, are you also, do you consume drugs? He said, yes, okay. But that's what he told me at that point of time. So I think today, I mean, OST is a word that I've heard because of my affiliations with the Nagadao and NAN and ARC Foundation, etc. But I never really understood the importance that it played until the previous session. So when this person said he's also under OST, I think now I get to realize that he's undergoing through a process of reforming himself. But I'm also a little apprehensive on whether and how the medications are reaching the jail in time or not for user communities who are lodged in the judicial custody, So I think that's also very one aspect that maybe we can ponder on. There are drug users community inside the prison as well, and their treatment protocols, how is it being followed, whether the medicines are reaching on time. I think that was a point of concern that pricked me in this particular sitting of workshop that we're having today. So that's what I would want to deliver on this particular section. So my topic is like very, since it's with the user community, it's just been very short and concise, and I'm just delving on just 1-2 section which should be relevant, because if you go under this entire act, there are a lot of legal jargons and nuances. It might be super technical and it will be boring, but not just for the users community, but I also want to highlight very briefly on illicit trafficking of drugs from one state, interstate, to another state, from countries to countries, and that the provisions are very stringent when it comes to NDPS Act. So when we deal with cases of NDPS as well, we also know the issue. I mean, we understand the reason why they get into such kind of trading business as well, of selling drugs. Maybe they do not have money to look after the families. For some, it becomes the source of income in looking after their family. But having said that, the act in itself, when we try to get even a bail, forget about getting acquittal from a trial, that is altogether a long process of legal battle that will go on. But just to get out the accused out from the jail itself, when it involves NDPS, it's very strict, and courts have become very stringent as well on granting bail in NDPS, because some of them, since it's become the source of livelihood and it's very fast money, because their demands are very high even in our society, they earn in terms of, God knows, in like 6-7 digits figures as well, you know, when they're dealing with such kind of business. But to get bail becomes difficult. But once they're granted bail, what we see is, since it is their form of livelihood and it's very fast money, they go back to the same trade again. All the suppliers and the peddlers and the dealers, etc. So I think in such an instant, it becomes for everyone collectively to, you know, the investigating agency, the medical wing, the legal wing, the society, the church, to understand, you know, the implications and how we can combat this, if at all. Because bail is another thing, but for small quantity, the punishment is lighter. For medium quantity, the punishment is a little higher, and for commercial quantity, which we call it in legal terms, it could be, I mean, we keep seeing in newspaper as well, you know, commercial quantity of so-and-so being seized. So for those, like, even minimum imprisonment goes up to about 20 years, and with 2 lakhs of fine. So once we get caught in the web of the investigating agency, then 20 years, given that we are going to be in prison if we do not get acquitted in the case. So that
I have a question for Dr. Santi or Dr. Santi, ma'am. Okay. Thank you. I wanted to know what is the efficacy or the half-life of the OST for, let's take a dosage which you can just think about. And the second question would be, how long does it take for the client who has been initiated for OST to be stabilized when the initiation is done? How long does it take?
Okay, thank you, MP, for asking that question. But to supplement to this question, maybe other question might also come, but to supplement to his question, in Nagaland, or especially in Naga Hospital, what are the current doses, normal doses? Okay.
Thank you both for your questions. Okay, sir, since we're getting into very technical territory now, let me just say something regarding half-life of a drug. So when we say half-life of a drug, that means it's the duration that a medication or a chemical acts in your body, right? So that's what in technical terms we call it as a half-life. If we take for paracetamol, for example, we need to take it 2-3 times in a day. That is because the half-life is around 6 to 7, 8 hours. That's why we take it twice in a day. Let's talk about some antibiotics. The doctor tells you take it only twice in a day, and then sometimes we forget to take it even once, right? The doctor tells us to take it twice in a day because a particular medicine has a half-life of 12 hours. That's why twice in a day. Half-life when it comes to buprenorphine, okay, it really depends upon our physiology, right? So half-life will be a bit shorter for a person with a bigger body mass when it comes to buprenorphine. Okay, and it may be big longer for someone with a smaller body mass. Okay, but in general, drugs, buprenorphine, when it's around 2 mg or 4 mg, the half-life is just 12 hours. But when it goes beyond 6 milligrams, alright, half-life goes beyond 24 hours. But I cannot definitively say that this is the half-life for you. Clinically, we can say, alright. So I think to answer your question, the half-life as per the prescribed doses from NACO, it goes around beyond 24 hours, so as to enable that particular person to come to our center only once in a day. Right? So then that's how we are trying to promote him to do other activities after visiting our centers. That's one thing. Stabilization, thank you for the question. It takes around 3 to 4 days to stabilize a patient. So today, if I start on a particular dose, as per my clinical observation, I ask him to come back again tomorrow so that I'll evaluate him again. Alright, and if as per his complaints, let's say for example, this particular person says, sir, last night I had a severe body ache, I could not sleep at all. That means I have to significantly increase the dose by maybe another 2 or 4 milligrams. Or this person just comes back and said, it just started for me. You know, the withdrawal just started for me. Then maybe I would say, okay, no, you know what, let's just take the same dose and let's see how it works tomorrow for you. Right, so all our treatment is tailor-made, but on an average, it takes about 3 to 4 days to stabilize a particular patient. And then, like Sir has asked one question, what is the current dose for the individuals, our clients, our participants in a program? The average dose is around 8 milligrams, but that's just an average dose. As per the NACO guidelines, or as per the data that we have, the blocking effect is achieved after 8 milligrams of buprenorphine. So it is a good objective for us. It's good that our clients take at least around 8 milligrams, so that if they take other illicit opioid drugs, they are not going to work on their body. Say for example, if I'm trying to reduce this person's dose as soon as possible, and then I've given him for 2 milligrams. So another half of the day, he'll be having withdrawals, he'll be having body aches, cravings, so he'll take other drugs. So I think it is good to maintain a good dose. And one thing that one of our sir has been, one of my mentor has been, the one analogy that he has given me is, if a person is full, after having a good lunch at home, he doesn't need to have lunch here, because he's full. He doesn't need to take anything anymore. Just like that, buprenorphine also, when it comes to drugs, if you have given the right dose, then he doesn't search for other drugs. So that is also one thing that our program we are trying to emphasize on. Give him the right dose that he needs. That doesn't mean that, you know, my partner over here has been taking the same quantity of drugs, illicit drugs. That doesn't mean that both of us have to be on the same amount of buprenorphine. It has to be tailor-made according to his or her needs and as per my needs.
Okay, my name is Samir Thapa. I'm from Minister Seal Baptist Higher Secondary School. Okay, my question here is about, you have mentioned about the criteria for an addict or a user to get to avail the services of OST set up by given by the NACO. So if you can kindly highlight on those criteria that is required to enroll a user to this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tapa, for your question. I think this question will also again a bit more. It will get a bit more technical. So. First of all, the person has to be dependent on the drug. Okay, so to qualify a person to be dependent, there are 6 criteria given by the WHO or the International Classification of Diseases. Okay, and then it has at least 3 has to. They have to at least fulfill 3 of those. Okay, so one is loss of control. are unable to control or limit the amount of drugs that they take. Okay. One is priority. We say primacy. So what that person prioritizes the use of drug over other activities in their life. All right. Then another one is withdrawal. Okay. People are undergoing severe withdrawal, body ache, diarrhea, without taking the drug, and they have to take the drug no matter what. Then one is harmful use. Okay, use in spite of harm. They know it's affecting their life, physically, mentally, socially, but professionally, but they're still persisting the use. All right, and then tolerance. So they have developed tolerance over the years. It started with this much amount of alcohol or drug, and then now they need to take triple the amount, quadruple the amount to achieve the same effect. All right. Then another one is craving, persistent craving, wanting to take the drug all the time. Okay, it's an obsessive thing. So dependence has to be there, and so at least three of the 6 criteria given should come under. A person should exhibit at least 3 from the 6, and then there should be an episode of injecting drug use at least once over the last 3 months. So most of the time when our clients are accompanied by their parents, they don't tell us they have been injecting. But when we sit with them one-on-one, when we have built up a rapport, then yes, they do it, because the injecting the drug available is quite expensive for a school student or a person who is not a professional, who is not earning. So to save money, they inject drugs as well. So that's one of the things, but we don't directly ask, did you inject or not? That is very wrong of us to do that. So we build our rapport. We have very good counselors who are like detectives to get all the answers that we need. And then after that, they come to us, and then we initiate them on the therapy. And usually, when it comes, since you're from the school, so usually we ask for the consent of their parents who are below the age of 18.
When our normal hospitals or other service centers are closed. So I was just wondering if just on a pilot, experimental basis, this a part of this OST program, maybe a booth kind of thing can be established in one of the police stations just on an experimental basis. Because why I'm saying this is, I think I'm asking not only to the medical department, but I think even to our obus here. Meghalaya, I think, already has that arrangement. So the problem is, I think once these individuals start experiencing these symptoms, it becomes difficult for our Thana personnel also. And I think our perspective, our police perspective towards these consumers have also, I think, changed over time. I mean, I think our Danda attitude is towards the peddlers only, primarily now. So I think I just want to take this opportunity, whether, or if that is not possible, whether our personnel, some of our personnel can be trained, to extend this immediate help to these individuals who are coming to the Thanas.
Thank you, sir, for the question. I just wanted to, say that I think on a pilot basis, I think that is something we should continue our deliberation on. And then that request, it's not only in Kohima, we have been getting written requests from Dimapur, also from the police stations. So we have also started similar thing in the jails. We have tied up with all the prisons, and then Kohima, Dimapur, the 2 jails, Central Jail and the District Jail, they are the, they have the maximum consumers of OST in prison at present. That's how we had collaborated. So I think the suggestion, since we had also received one request last year also from the administration from Dimapur, just recently also from the police stations. So I think the problem is something that, we do have our limitations, and we do also have our own guidelines and the policy guidelines specifically given to us. But considering that kind of need, I can take it further up to our authority also and see. I think that's a very good, gesture that has come up. So on a pilot basis. And we also want to inform that we just started one OST center in the Police Referral Hospital, Dimapur. So our intention, it was inaugurated by our DGP, Sir Rupin Sharma himself, with other officials present, just last month only. So here we had also seen, as you had rightly highlighted, not only the people who had come under your facility because of committing certain crimes, but also amongst our police personnel, also amongst ourselves also. So because of that need, we had also started one in the Police Referral Hospital. The team here, 3 MOs and 3 nurses, right, ANMs, they've been also trained with 4 days packages on the OST. Intensive training has been conducted for them also. So similarly, a request had also come that places like Aboy, there are few of them accessing OST from our Aboy center. So there was discussion on whether they can have it instead, get the dispensing done from their own camp instead of coming up to the primary health center. So that way, we are also looking at the Police Referral Hospital Dimapur as that agency, the central agency, to look into these units and stations also. So likewise, our Rupin Sharma sir has also suggested, similar initiation in Tuengsang as well. So, but we will also see how, we get ourselves, the initiative in the police referral hospitals, like we'll learn from it and we'll see how we can expand it further. So as far as placing it in police stations are concerned, we had also requested the police station in charges also to contact our nearest OST center. But as you rightly said, most of the crimes takes place in the evening and in the hours where the regular facilities are not open. I think that's a point that I will also take forward to our authority and see what best we can work it out together. Thank you.